Hello. This video is about James White missing the light. James White, first of all, I'm going to say this. I believe it is cowardly when you don't enable comments after your videos. John MacArthur, in the Grace to You, he doesn't have comments. And for some reason, you don't either. It's like you're afraid of debate, which I think a lot of Calvinists are afraid of legitimate debate. So, I don't know for what exact reason you disable your comment, but from my point of view, I think it's cowardly. So I urge you to enable your comments to your videos. Now, second of all, James White, you said something to the nature, and I heard you say this, you said something to the nature that, well, God grieving doesn't really prove predestination, because if God had the foreknowledge, if God foreknew something would happen, and then when it happened, he wouldn't grieve because he foreknew it would happen. That is really, really bad logic. Okay, if God forced something in the future to happen, and then when the time came for that to happen, yeah, God wouldn't grieve because he forced it to happen. That's what he wanted to happen. However, if God foreknew an event would happen, but if he didn't cause it, by the time when you actually got to the event, yeah, God would grieve. That's consistent with Scripture. On January 7th, my mother passed away. And I know it's coming, that anniversary, every January 7th. But still, when I get to that day, I grieve a little bit because I miss my mom. Now, let's say that I had the foreknowledge that I knew my mom was going to die on a certain day. I would have grieved when I found out, when I had that foreknowledge, but still, on the day of her death, even though I knew she was going to die, I would have really grieved. So the idea of, well, God, the idea of grieving isn't consistent with foreknowledge, just is not true. Now, if you predestine something, if you're forcing something to happen, well, yeah, then God wouldn't grieve. So every scripture where it said God's grieves or God's sorrow, God's sorrowful, something happened, anything like that, that's a scripture against predestination, and that's a scripture in favor of free will. James White, I think that, this argument, you don't argue for Calvinism very good. I think because you're on the wrong side of the argument. What I would suggest is you try to work more into apologetics. You lost that debate against Bart Ehrman. You need to debate him again. Now, maybe you have debated him again and I just didn't see it. But it's like when you debated him the first time, you were in awe of him. And maybe you didn't give him your best shot. I don't know. But I believe the truth is on the side of the Christian. I believe you need to try to debate Bart Ehrman again, and instead of just being in awe of debating Bart Ehrman, which kind of seemed like you were, I think you need to debate him. That's your strength. Working in apologetics, that's a more nobler topic than Calvinism. You actually have a gift in the scriptures. In an apologetic sense, I don't know why you're misinterpreting free will and Calvinism. You're letting a couple scriptures frame your whole thought. But anyway, I want to keep this video short. James White, enable your comments and really open your eyes. If a God has foreknowledge, but he enables free will, of course he's going to grieve when that time comes. Of course he will. What you said makes no sense.